Right, today's a little bit different. Life jacket, bit of a hint, we're going over water. Let's get going and I'll show you, explain more in the air. So here we are taxiing out. There's Alan already up the top of the field. And he's just doing a circle, checking around the sky. Nobody else is in the air. And he'll be lining up on runway 18 to take off. Now with a masterpiece of photography here, I've got two cameras running and I totally miss his takeoff. So sorry. So he takes off past me and I've now lined up. So off we go. Now for my daughter Rachel, just to explain, the trailing edge of the wing there is the flaps are down, and as I take off they get me off the ground quicker, and you'll see there we are, get rid of the flaps because the speed builds up, and away we go, and over the earthworks at the end of the runway, and round we come. So we're airborne, and the first thing I've got to do is have a look around and find where Alan is and catch up with him. So let's have a look over the nose. There he is, and a few miles down the road caught up. Now there's the M4 motorway. That's easy navigation. Keep that on the right and keep the hills on the left, and you keep out of Cardiff's controlled airspace. So as we come along, Alan is in his 1946 Aronca Champ. Now a Vauxhall car like this one here, built in 1946, looks very ancient, but his plane still looks very modern, and yet it's a design that was from the Second World War. In fact, it was used as a spotter plane in the Second World War and in the Korean War, the Aronca Champ was. So here we are, running along, trying to get, we're not in the sunshine here. Oh, here we come. The sunshine's coming out. That's a bit better. So we're just routing here round the top end of Cardiff controlled airspace. And we are heading down to the middle of the Bristol Channel. So there's the two airports, Bristol and Cardiff. That's our route between the two of them. And we're staying below the controlled airspace. So that's a controlled airspace. We stay below it. That's the actual track we flew on Flight Radar 24. Now, Alan was looking at marine radar because his friend was out sailing in the Bristol Channel, and that was the purpose of, or part of the purpose of the trip, was to go down there and get some photographs of his sailing vessel. Now, Cardiff City, the capital of Wales, is a little bit unusual because to the right there's fields. So you can almost fly over the city centre and yet have fields to land on the right there. Perfectly legal, perfectly safe, outside of controlled airspace. So we were actually, what I was doing, I had a squawk on the transponder so Cardiff could see that I was listening to them. And if they wanted to talk to me and say, "Oi, what you doing?" they could have done, but they never did. And the same with Bristol. We changed over and had a listening squawk with them, and they never called us. We kept down to the controlled airspace. They could see we were behaving. Now in the foreground there is Cardiff City Football Ground, right next to the Costco and Asda, and coming up you can see the docks in the distance. So it doesn't look if there's a match on, although it was a Saturday. They must have been playing away that day. The car park's pretty empty. So we pass over that, and to the left there you can see the Millennium Stadium, or if you're up to date, the Principality Stadium. It changed its name in 2016. So let's have a look around. Oh, now there is the Senedd, the Welsh Assembly down there, right over the capital, and looking back out, the weather looks better out to the Bristol Channel, which is good for photography. And to the left there in the shadow, you can't quite see it, is the heliport for Cardiff, which again with opportunity to land on should you really need it. Now here, as we leave the coast, you might think, well, where are you going if the engine stops now? The answer is swimming. So there is a little bit of anxiety as you head out over water, but today everything behaved well. So there we are. We've identified the ship on the flight marine radar, and there it is circled, got a black sail. Not a pirate ship, I hope, but it's a sailing ship. So Alan dropped down a little bit lower than me, and I just loitered up above, as he went down to get some photographs of the sailing vessel. So we just did a lazy orbit here in the middle of the Bristol Channel. There was quite a few sailing vessels out on this day. Round we come. Up the north is the bridges, you can't see them, they're so far up there. And round we come, looking back towards Cardiff now. Coming round even further, there's Flatholme. And now just off the wingtip is Barry. And round we come, and there's the Bristol Channel out towards the western approaches. Now as we look down, you can see the sea looks really brown. The Severn estuary has the second biggest tidal range in the world, and that churns up all the sand as it comes in and out every 12 hours. So it does look the colour of a chocolate milkshake. Round we come. Say Alan has dropped down a little bit lower just to get some good photographs, and he certainly does. I mean, the photographs I'll just show you in a moment are zoomed right in and taken with a really fast shutter speed, but yeah, he did really good. I'm just looking, wishing I was a little bit closer to the land, but okay, we'll get there shortly. So here we are. Let's have a look at Alan's photographs that he took. Nice and clear, and even you can see the people in the back of the yacht there. So here we are, we're coming up to Brean Down, and the end there is the fortifications that were built first of all in the Napoleonic Wars, but the Victorians enlarged them, had to protect Bristol Port. They're also used in the Second World War. They had searchlights and guns on there. Also on Brean Down there's Bronze Age and Roman remains, so it's been a popular place, that headland. So here we come in, and now unfortunately this is where the battery on the camera on the wing ran out. But we ran down the Mendip Hills past Wells transmitter mast and then past Wells Cathedral. So this is Royal Naval Air Station Hensridge, or HMS Dipper as the Navy called it. Opened in 1943 with Marine Spitfires, Supermarine Spitfires. They had the folding wing type ready for carrier use. And they had arrestor wires, etc. over the runway. Now when I was landing, Alan couldn't get off the runway because there was too many people on the fuel pump. So it necessitated a go-round, which is going around the circuit again. Just to the right there, I don't know if you saw the yellow helicopter, that's the Dorset and Somerset Air Ambulance, which is now based at Hensridge. So, just so don't bore you too much, we'll just speed this up as we go right round the circuit again. It's fairly wide, just so you don't annoy any of the neighbours. So we come right round, view to the south. East. Quite a bit of flooding there. This is the end of September. There've been quite a lot of rain in September. So around we come, and we slow it down and back now to normal speed. Looks like a fish farm on the nose. We're on base leg now, just getting ready to turn onto finals. I think it was runway 24 we were landing on. There wasn't much wind, and it was a crosswind anyway. There in the distance you can see the Mendip Hills. Say we just headed south from those to Hensridge. So here we are. I think now we're just about to start the turn onto finals. I was able to see the runway had cleared as I've been going round. And there we are, lined up nicely, coming down. Just the one runway at Hensridge nowadays, and it's under new management. I know a few people have been put off by going to Hensridge because of I don't know, a person who could argue in an empty room, but apparently that person's moved on, and it's very friendly staff there now. There we are, down on the runway, and I didn't realise I could have turned left onto the grass and gone to the parking. I thought I had to backtrack to the hard standing, but it was wrong, and so I start to backtrack my errors pointed out, and then I go onto the grass and park up on the grass. So we're at Hensridge. I say very friendly staff, few interesting aircraft. Tiger Moth was doing pleasure flights and the Garopo Trail taxiing out. And I didn't get a picture of many of the aircraft in the hangars, but there's some very interesting ones. So there we are. That's the view of Alan has heading back the same way. Alan trying to take some video of me, but without stabilization, it's jumping around a bit. Still picture. So as you can see, with stabilization, it's a whole lot easier. Although I haven't got the camera straight, I appreciate. So we're just coming back up. There's Weston-super-Mare on the right there, and we're going to pass out just over the bay there. So that's Weston-super-Mare. There's people parked on the beach as we leave, and looking down the Bristol Channel, and to the left we've got Steepholme and then Flatholme, and then down and out. Back over the Millennium Stadium, or Principality if you're up to date, over the football ground again, Cardiff City, and we were back home and landing on 36. So you get over the power lines and get down. The works at the end of the runway going to add about an extra 30 meters, but hardly anybody ever uses that. If you're using that end of the runway, you kind of got a problem if you're taking off. So it'll be handy, I guess, in an emergency, a little bit further to run. This was the wind was just coming from the left, not much down, and there we are. That's it, all back home again. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end, and thank you to Alan for an interesting day out. It wasn't planned, it just happened that way, and it was a really enjoyable day at the end of September. Thank you.